Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. It's SCW's predictions of WWE Backlash. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to go through the entire match card for you here today. And yes, it was tempting to do the whole Grace Showman for you for a full 5 minutes, but I've decided against it in the end, due to maybe, number one, copyright reasons, and number two, because I think we should get straight into the matches. But without further ado, the greatest wrestling match ever. Edge versus Randy Orton. Let's kick it off straight in the deep end. And, well, what an appropriate name, first off. WWE Backlash, because they've received a hell of a lot of it, and rightly so when you think about it. I mean, look at it. A match is subjective. Edge has actually said this in an interview during the build-up, whether you actually like it or don't. You could be looking for different things in a wrestling match to make it the greatest ever. You may be looking for a technical masterclass on like a Kurt Angle against Shawn Michaels, or you might be looking for the spectacle of something like, a King of the Ring '98 with Mankind flying off the top of the Hell in a Cell. You could be looking for those big WrestleMania moments. Maybe you look at Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat from WrestleMania 3. Many suggest that to be the greatest wrestling match of all time, and many try to aspire to make a match like it. More in the modern day, people love The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 25. And I'm going to give an honorary mention as well to John Cena and AJ Styles from the Royal Rumble 2017. Matches like those can be coming under that category of the greatest wrestling match ever. And there's a lot of things that come together, that natural chemistry, which, yes, Edge and Orton have a great chemistry. There's no denying that. Going through the program they've had together, the build-ups, both have been, almost flawless on a build-up. But when it comes to a match itself, it feels like a bit of this has come a bit of a dig after the WrestleMania Last Man Standing match, where a lot of people just deemed it to have gone too long and was a bit boring. And I think a lot of people said, well, the greatest wrestling match ever. There's one other tagline that makes me wonder why this match has had this thrown on it. I mean, usually around this time of year, WWE goes to Saudi Arabia, and we've had the greatest Royal Rumble, we've had the greatest Battle Royal, the greatest wrestling match ever. Was Backlash meant to be in Saudi Arabia? We'll never know now. We'll never know because, of course, with everything that's going with the pandemic, but Backlash is going on at the PC, at the Performance Center, and WWE are still carrying on with this. It's one of them things. I mean, I'm sure the guys feel a lot of pressure. They may well have the match of the night, but without the spectacle of the fans and everything like that, I feel it's very hard that it's going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. But let's not try to give too much dig at the superstars. That's a creative marketing standpoint, and in my opinion, a bad marketing standpoint. It's very hard to live up to a hype like that. You are pretty much asking for disappointment. But looking at the match itself, and I'm not going to give any more backlash now to the catchphrase given to it, I am hopeful that this is going to be a good match. Now, we know it's been pre-recorded. Apparently, it's like a 30-something minutes has been on the pre-record. We'll have to wait and see if much is edited down, and WWE want to make this as good a job as they can of making it the greatest wrestling match that they possibly can between these two. So let's hope they deliver. I'm going to go in positively. I want to see the greatest wrestling match ever. I want to be proven wrong. So Edge, Randy Orton, go out there and prove me wrong. I want to see it. As a result, and a prediction to give for you, I am going to go. I mean, you have to remember, this is Edge's first natural singles match back. So I have a feeling that Edge will win for that reason alone. I'm wondering a little bit, though, if there will be some foul play somewhere from Randy Orton, because it could be just fun as like a stick at the fans. We'll give them that tagline. They'll rip us to shreds, and we'll get to the pay-per-view, and we're going to do something that's quite clear to make this not the best wrestling match or greatest wrestling match ever, because Randy Orton, being the heel that he is, has to kick Edge in the balls. It's just one of them things. And sometimes those things actually really add something up, and you turn around and say, well, actually it added to a match to make it a great match with those little elements in. But it would be quite funny if something was thrown in like that. But we'll have to wait and see how it's going to play out. But my final prediction is going to be Edge. I'm not sure it's the end of the program. I think they may have one more match left in them, and I've seen it around that a lot of people have a feeling that this won't be the last encounter between the two, but I think that if some shenanigan will go on, it'll be after the match. So I'm going to go for Edge to do that, to pick up the victory. It could even be on Raw perhaps as well, that he could try and continue the feud, but for this, it's the greatest wrestling match ever, apparently. Edge has definitely had the greatest coffee ever this week. That's one thing for sure. He's actually tweeted it. But we're going to go with Edge to win here at Backlash, and let's hope that I don't have to give too much backlash during the rest of this video. But we'll go into other matches. We'll go to the United States Championship match, Apollo Crews against Andrade. It's a rematch. I mean, of course, Andrade, the former champion. These two have wrestled a couple of times now, so they've got the chemistry. Apollo Crews recently has new entrance music, not long-term United States champion. It feels like it's too soon to take the belt off of him, and it feels like Andrade, Zelina, and Angel Garza, that stable seems to be breaking up. I don't know why they seem to be doing that. They seem like a good fit, in my opinion. I was liking the direction it was going, but now they've been on the tease and the verge of breaking up for weeks now, so I expect Andrade to actually suffer a loss here, maybe even some sort of argument with Zelina Vega. We'll have to wait and see, but for me, Apollo Crews must and will retain here. Asuka against Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship is going to be coming up for us next now, and let's be honest, WWE and Raw, they've already moved on with this program. We seem to now have a new direction of what we've been interested in seeing the last couple of weeks, which is Asuka against Charlotte Flair. So that makes it kind of clear for me that Nia Jax has got no chance in this match. Asuka is going to retain and remain Raw Women's Champion. Nia Jax has gone for a lot of stick going into this match. Two bad botches in a short period of time against Kairi Sane. It's clear for me those two props don't have natural chemistry, and with Nia Jax, what is best to go on for her next? I really think she needs to go back to the Performance Center just for a little while. It's a shame, really, because Nia Jax, she's got natural heel heat. People do not like her, and she's got a great way of just performing and not caring and having strong confidence. And for that, I do admire that side of Nia Jax. I admire the strong confidence, the natural heel heat, the making fans hate her. You remember what happened with Becky Lynch with that botch and the way that she owned it afterwards. She was almost one of the best heels in the company at that point. You couldn't argue it. But when it comes to an in-ring perspective, safety needs to come first. And there is just one too many mistakes for me with Nia Jax, and I want to see her improve. I actually want to see Nia succeed, believe it or not. But I think that involves a bit of time away to do so. So for me, I would take her off TV after this match. I would have Asuka win in a dominant fashion, and we can move on to a program with Charlotte Flair, which, if you have checked out any of my recent videos this week, I believe that should be the headline match for SummerSlam with the Raw Women's Championship, and Asuka should finally get a win over Charlotte Flair at that. But that's a prediction at this point for a future. We're going with Asuka and Nia Jax at this point. Asuka, for me, is going to be the victor. Let's go for the Women's Tag Team Championship Triple Threat match next now, and I'm actually really looking forward to this match. It's the first time in a long time I'm looking forward to the Women's Tag Team Championships, and that's no disrespect to any of the women involved, especially as Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross have done a good job when they've had the belts, but of course they lost them recently on SmackDown, but they're going to go for them again here. Same as the IIconics, former tag team champs, but of course it's the champions Bayley and Sasha Banks, the Boss and Hug connection, the first ever WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Now, before we go into a prediction for the match, I want to address what Paige has said on WWE Backstage this week, and all the actual panel, really, with Beth Phoenix and Ember Moon, they were not so hot on what's going on with the Women's Tag Team division. And I've got to say, I have got a bit of point where I agree with them. I feel that the women's tag team division has been thrown out under the bus since day one. Nothing against the tag teams that are still together and actually going to be a part of this match, but you look at the first Elimination Chamber where they crowned those first ever tag team champions. How many of those teams are still together? Nia and Tamina not together. The Riot Squad have broken up. Fire and Desire have broken up. You can name every team, and they're not really a team anymore. The Boss and Hug was split for a while as well. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross put themselves together at a later date. The IIconics are still together, but even they've been teased to having a breakup in the last few weeks on Raw. So the women's tag team division had a strong 6 to 8 teams at the start, and unfortunately it's broken down where this is what we've got. We've got 3 teams. Now you could argue and say Asuka and Kairi Sane are still a team technically, but Asuka's moved on to arguably bigger and better things. She's in the top of the women's division on the Raw side. So we need new teams and we need a division desperately here. We need maybe NXT to be involved here a little bit more. I know that there's actually a rumour going around that the NXT women's tag team champions will be actually going to take on Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox next week on NXT. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and hopefully we can get more representation of the women's tag team division, because there's a lot to offer and this division could be awesome, but I just don't think there's been been represented as good as it could have been up to this point. But that's not to knock the champions we've had. Like I say, I think Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and I think the Kabuki Warriors have done a reasonable job in the last few months representing that division. They just need a few more teams to go against them to make it stronger. Now we've got Boss and Hug back together. The IIconics have come back after a long time off of TV. Hopefully it will be interesting. The thing as well that makes me now interested in the women's tag team titles, and this is where I disagree with what was said on WWE Backstage this week. They said that the rivalry of Bayley and Sasha Banks didn't need the belts, and they are just now kind of holding on to the belts, and other people may suffer and not benefit as a result. I think the belts do get elevated here because so many times in WWE, people become champions and there's no story to when they have the championship. Here, this is going to play a pivotal part within a major storyline that, yes, that would have played out anyway, but it helps and naturally builds that story of Bayley and Sasha so much better, because when those belts go, the crack will appear further and we will finally get the Bayley and Sasha Banks feud. So for me, I think it's going to benefit and elevate. It's good to see a championship involved with a storyline, especially one that's arguably, to me, not been taken so seriously, and the people that beat the champions will benefit from doing so, and then hopefully to find a story to carry the momentum going forward with those championships. So for me, let's look at it. We've got Boss and Hug, Bayley and Sasha, we've got Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and we've got the IIconics. I'm going to tell you where I think the belts will be going in the future. I think they'll be going back to Bliss and Cross. But in the meantime, I don't see them doing it on this pay-per-view. I think they're going to build it towards the next pay-per-view so that Bayley and Sasha can be at SummerSlam. So, for that way, the IIconics are going to take the fall, and Bayley and Sasha are going to escape with the belts here, and maybe they'll go on to face Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss at Extreme Rules. So there's my prediction for you right there. I think that Bayley and Sasha will retain, and for the first time in a long time, I am really invested in what's going on with the women's tag team division. So let's hope they will continue to build that division and make some more teams, because they really have got the recipe for success if they put it together right, and they've got the right amount of women on the roster to make and build new stars. Everyone moans about Charlotte Flair. Well, I tell you what, why not the undercard of these shows put more teams together? They broke all of them up. They don't need to do that. Let's put some people together and make a tag team division. And usually from tag team wrestling, you've seen it with a lot of people. Some people can make themselves a great single start through doing so. So I reckon that that's what they should do with this division. Elevate more teams, please, and let's make this something to remember. Anyway, let's move on to another match for us in the meantime, and let's look at Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. A lot of people find this a controversial storyline, and perhaps some say it's the worst storyline of the year. I've been, I think, controversial myself, saying that I've actually been entertained by this storyline, but it's entertainment because of the fact that I know Jeff Hardy didn't do the hit and run that was supposed to be on Elias. Elias, of course, this was done to him because he's actually got an injury. He's going to be out for a long time. They wanted to write him off TV, and I suppose this was the way they did it. It's almost like who run over Steve Austin back in the Attitude Era, but of course they've added an alcohol flavour with it. And yes, is it distasteful? Of course it is. I'm not saying it's not distasteful, but because of the fact that we knew it was Sheamus who did it, I can accept it, and I find that it was certainly eventful watching on TV. It was certainly more interesting than just watching match after match after match with no story. So for that point, that's why I say that I had some investment and still do in this storyline. Yes, I believe Jeff Hardy as well probably was okay with doing the storyline. Otherwise, I don't think the storyline would have been happening either. So we have to look at it from that point of view, that the superstar surely was okay with it. If there's a point where we look further down the line, and of course it's not ended up well in a future date, yeah, I'll go back on my word and I'll say that this was a bad storyline to do. But in the meantime, while everything seems to be okay for it, and of course we believe that it was Sheamus who did that, I'm fine with the storyline. But looking at it, Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, it's clear to see this is personal. It's an actual rivalry, and that's kind of exciting for me in that point in WWE, because a lot of matches just get thrown together in 2020. I feel there's not really that many personal vendettas these days, so this one feels a bit personal for me, and I think that this could be an important match and what could lead to a good result coming out of it. And I believe that Jeff Hardy will walk away the victor here. I seem to be quite face heavy, it feels, on this particular show. It wouldn't surprise me if Sheamus was to pick up the victory to lead this going to another pay-per-view, and I think that that's the only way Sheamus wins here. If it's a one and done, Jeff Hardy wins. If this is to go on multiple pay-per-views, I would say Sheamus would win. But I've got to stick my neck out and make a prediction for you now. I do think that Jeff Hardy is going to win here. I think it pleases a lot of the fans, and I think that it will get perhaps a bit of negativity of the storyline off of WWE's back by giving Jeff the win, and hopefully he can move further up the card and into a fun program going forward. That's what I'd like to see. Let's wait and see if it happens. So for me, Jeff Hardy does become the victor. Next, we'll move on from a storyline that has been literally seen as the worst storyline to the year to the one that I actually believe is the worst storyline of the year. We're talking the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman, bring back the monster. I want the Monster Mom men to come back from these old days, taking on Miz and Morrison, who are quite literally two jocks, 12-year-old jocks, who are upsetting Braun Strowman by disturbing his shake when it's been shaken up and going everywhere, slime falling on Kayla Braxton, and, well, you know, just all awful skits going all through. And I think they destroyed Braun's rental car as well. I mean, Braun Strowman did flip the hiding spot, the sort of hidden truck that they were in, but at the same time I did think to myself that this was too little too late for me. Braun Strowman was generally upset by childish games going on, so for me, generally awful storyline. The Miz and Morrison as well have not had the most successful of a couple of months. I mean, they recently lost the tag team championships, have lost to the Lucha House Party, so they're not really in a position where they should be going for the top title on the blue brand. But you could argue and say Miz has not really had a bad 6 months. He's probably not deserved the championship run, but this is his second Universal Championship title match in the last 6 months. I believe the December pay-per-view TLC was taking on Bray Wyatt, so he's done well to get himself another championship opportunity, but unfortunately that's where it's going to end. There's not really much to say about this. This is going to be a complete squash for me. Braun Strowman will be going over the pair here, and I'm assuming this is just filler. I am expecting the Fiend to return at the end of this match to attack Braun Strowman. I'm hoping that's the direction we're going to go anyway, because I can't quite see how they can extend this past one pay-per-view, and I'm not actually sure where to go with Braun Strowman at this point. For me, he needs to become the monster again. He needs to be where he's flipping things all the time, near enough, you know, decapitating people en route. The 2017 summer of Braun Strowman, that Braun needs to return. I think even the face run is not working for Braun for me. I want to see the guy go back to being heel. At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if they bring Nicholas in to come and even up the odds. That's how much I have so little faith in this story. It's not usually like me to completely bash a creative storytelling storyline, but for me, I've really not enjoyed this one, and I don't think we're going to have too much of the pay-per-view time in it, so I'm not going to give it much more of your time or my time either. And instead, we will talk about the WWE Championship match, and one match I am actually really looking forward to: Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, with MVP in this corner. The first time Bobby Lashley has had a WWE Championship match in 13 years. I believe it was 2007 against John Cena. At this point, Lashley was quite high at that point, and it felt like inevitable that he was going to become the champion. He was injured, he went out, and he never came back. He actually left the company at that point. So it's been a long time coming. And to be fair, the Bobby Lashley of the last 5 weeks is probably the Bobby Lashley we should have had booked for the last 2 years, which we've not had. So I'm really looking forward to the direction here. Some have argued this is an Impact Wrestling repeat. Yes, this was done in Impact Wrestling a number of years ago. But you know what? These two, for me, have the ability to really put on a show-stealing match here. I think that Drew McIntyre's had a great championship run so far. He's been booked strong, and I think they will continue with his good momentum, hopefully, into this match. Bobby Lashley, like I say, I'm fearful that it's a 5-week book of this strength and that he's going to go to the wayside afterwards. I really hope not. But a part of me is not actually dedicated that this will be definitely one way or another. I feel it's one of the more unpredictable matches of the evening, because I feel there's a chance Bobby Lashley could walk away as the WWE Champion. And I'm going to say why I think that could be a good thing. If you remember back in the old days when your top babyface in the Attitude Era, someone like Stone Cold Steve Austin, was champion, he wasn't champion for a lengthy time. He had more fun and fans were more invested on the chase than they were seeing as a long-term champion. If Drew McIntyre is champion for a year, there is a chance that people will just lose interest. Yes, you have that super sort of babyface person who's that strongly booked, but if they feel that no one's on his level, then it's going to simply become that Drew is the star and everybody else is beneath him. And WWE at this point have done a great job in the last 6 months of building Drew McIntyre. Why not capitalize on the momentum that you're building of Bobby Lashley and change the belt over. You can make 2 stars in one, and that's not to say that Drew McIntyre couldn't win the belt back at, say, I don't know, SummerSlam. Maybe Brock comes back, maybe it's a triple threat match. Who knows what they do, but they could do something where they could keep it interesting and they could make a second star here. But I don't think that's what they're going to do. I do think Drew McIntyre is going to be the guy that will retain here. So my prediction is Drew McIntyre, but I'm going to throw it out there that I wouldn't be that upset if Bobby Lashley was to pull it off and was to become WWE Champion. Like I said, I like this Lashley that's being booked currently, and I would like to see this Lashley be like this after Backlash, but I have a weird feeling that him and MVP will be going after the tag team titles, but we'll have to wait and see what will happen at a later date. For the meantime, we'll look at Backlash, and I'm going to give you my prediction of Drew McIntyre. So that's my predictions there for you for WWE Backlash. If there are any more matches added closer to the time, I reckon it could be Sonya Deville versus Mandy Rose could be thrown in there last minute. If so, I'll just say now I think Mandy Rose would be the victor. But I would also not be surprised if Sonya was to pick up the victory. But I feel that this program with them two would come a close very soon. But we could expect some kickoff matches, and we'll have to wait and see as and when they're built in. But when they are put in, I will give you my predictions on the channel as well, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you for watching. This has been the WWE Backlash predictions video. Enjoy the show. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. Do you agree with my opinions? Do you not? Let me know in the comments right now. But that's all from me. Thank you for watching. This has been SCW, the Wrestling Channel. Take care and have a great day.